Today I'm going to show you how to make wire-wrapped dangles. This is such a fun skill that you can add a really creative touch to your jewelry. You can make earrings, pendants, any variety of things. And really, it's fun to have a whole combination of beads and different metal shapes, sizes that you can add to this. It just adds more interest. I will show you actually on a bracelet that I made. This one here has a little sterling silver 2mm bead at the bottom, followed by a gemstone and a different shape on top with a teeny tiny wire wrap. Today we're going to use a whole combination of beads and different metal, and these are head pins. It is a sterling silver 2-inch head pin, 22 gauge. The gauges that you will use mostly are 24, which is the middle of the road, used for a lot of different things. 22 if you have a larger bead or something that might potentially catch on something. It'll give a little bit more strength to the piece. And if you were working with teeny tiny gems, 2mm, or small hole drilled pearls, then maybe you would go to a 26 gauge. We are going to be using these tools: needle nose pliers, which have a flat surface inside the jaw, round nose pliers, and flush cutters. Okay, now we're ready to move on with the head pin. Today we are going to thread on a little faceted bead. I'm going to thread on a blue lace agate and a little faceted rondelle on top. Now this is the same steps as we did before when we were wrapping the first beads that became a chain. So needle nose pliers in your left hand. I'm going to hold them at the tip of the pliers because I want to create the smallest neck possible, which is the area where I'm going to wrap the coils. If I hold it all the way up here, it's going to be way too big and too many coils needed. So I'm down on the end. I'm going to pull on the head pin just to make sure that that tool is sitting as close to that bead as possible. Now we'll start with 90 degrees, bending the wire away from me. Put the needle nose pliers down. Can take the round nose pliers. I'm going to use the guide that I just marked and put the wire through the middle of the two jaws with the 90-degree angle pulled up close. Now, taking my finger from below that wire, I am going to bend it up and over the top jaw and all the way down, slightly to the right. It's hard to do, to get it fully down because the bead is in the way, but this will work. Hold on to the wire and slide it off the top prong and onto the bottom prong. Line it up on the same guide, and now we're going to finish so that the wire is back where it started. At this stage, I turn it around, look at it end on. I'm trying to get the loop so that it is centered on the neck, and the nature of wrapping it around the jaw does tend to make it bend one way or the other. So at this stage, I can just bend it back slightly. It's more centered now. And I'll just adjust this wire. This is the one that's going to wrap. Okay, that looks pretty good. So off of the round nose, back to the needle nose. This is a way of stabilizing the loop. It gives you something to hold on to while you wrap. So what you're looking at doing is to cover the loop and no further down, because this wire here is the one that is going to start the wraps, and you want it just to be as close to that loop as it can be. So we will hold the end of our wire with the round nose pliers and start the coil. This is a 22 gauge, so it is a little firmer pressure needed to make the wrap. I'm not going to try and go all the way around in one motion. If I do, the end wire here is going to get curled all the way around the jaw of the tool. So you also have a lot more control if you take it slowly and keep changing the angle that you need to hold the round nose plier. So building out the coils one next to the other. And what I'm looking to do is to fill the space in between the loop and the top of the bead. If I'm getting close, I will turn it over, see how much space I have left. So, looks like I just have a little more to go. Turn over. Ideally, I'd like to leave just a little space there so that when I trim it, I can tap the end in and it has a space to go into. So, flush cutters with the flat edge towards the coil. I'm going to come down on the point and trim the wire. And try and hold on to your wire so it doesn't fly. There we go. At this stage, I can get my round nose pliers. I can shape the end so it makes a nicer shape there. I can get the needle nose pliers and just tap around the coil. If there's any shaping needed, I can adjust it now. Try to center that loop so it lines up nicely on the coil. And there you have a little dangle. It's actually quite a big dangle, but you can change the scale with the beads that you're using. So now I'm going to do a quick recap and show you again with another stone the steps that we just did. And there you have your second dangle. Obviously these can be made to any scale. If you were doing a large pendant, it's the same process, just larger beads, larger combinations maybe. And if you are making something that's very fine and detailed, you would maybe use a 26 gauge wire. This again was the 22. If you were doing a little wrap on a smaller bead, maybe a 24. And again, if you were doing something that is teeny, you might be going down to a 26 gauge. So there you have it. This is dangles. It is a fun thing to be able to do, and now you can add them to your jewelry.